We are ready and willing to take action rather than promises from you. Once we stop making excuses and creating roadblocks for the young people to co-lead, real transformational change will happen, and I can assure you that.
The draft political declaration is adopted. We must remember the world is watching. I challenge you all to demonstrate emboldened leadership by using this summit to announce groundbreaking commitments to support and to complete the 2030 agenda.
260 million children will still be out of school in 2030 if we don't act.
As long as the SDGs are just on the periphery, and then we talk about growth, innovation at the center, it's not going to work.
But we do know that we can turn things around, and leveraging the power of data and technology is an essential player in our comeback. Good news is that we are not so far from starting from scratch. We've got the solutions.
If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting time after time, time after time.
All right. Welcome everybody to Ordinary Voices September edition. And I can see my guests are right there. Nitya, I can see you. Justin, I can see you. Let me just try turning my camera on and just sit properly to see people. So, Justin, hi. And Nitya, hi.
Hi, Peter.
All right. So, quick one. I know I see Kira Beach and Justin again and Nitya. So, you guys, do you want to jump right in and tell us who you are, the SDG you are passionate about, and probably where you are tuning in from, my friends? So we can just smile along the way as we talk. Let me start with Nitya. Nitya, do you want to jump right in?
Yeah. I would love to. Okay, so hi people. I'm Nitya Loya, a 13-year-old youth leader and the CEO of Next Leaders Youth Committee. So as a youth representative, I work to make sure young people have a strong voice in important decisions that impact their future. My favorite SDG is SDG 16, which focuses on peace, justice, and building strong institutions. I believe in creating a world where young people are not just included, but are leading the way towards a peaceful and a fair society for all.
All right. That's Nitya. Let me jump to Kira Beach. Thank you, Nitya, for that. Kir, tell us who you are, the SDG you are passionate about, and where you are tuning in.
Thanks so much. Greetings to you all. My name is Kira Beach. I'm the Secretary General, Mount Kenya University, of the Student Association. I'm a youth champion, and I'm tuning in from Kenya Live. And I don't say one of my best SDGs. I can say, SDGs are, it's quite long, there are 17 goals. But for this case, my best SDG, I would say it's partnership of the goals that were created by the UN in around 2015 to meet the 2030 vision, that our vision. But for today, it will be peace, justice, and only that. So my main aim will be basically to see young people, especially the youths, involved in decision making, and they're at the table and fully represented.
Right. Thank you so much, Kir. And I see Sifa has joined, Peter have joined. Justin, do you want to tell us briefly, really quick, your favorite SDG and the change you want to see in the world?
Okay, thank you, Peter. My name is Justin Mokua, a volunteer Youth Forum and incoming Sports for SDG coordinator. My favorite SDG, there are many, but to be specific, one, that's number 5, gender equality. And currently I'm tuning in from Kenya, Kajiado County. So the change I want to see in the world is a society where all individuals are treated same, regardless of their gender, age. A society where men, women, boys, and girls have equal opportunities. They have equal rights. Thank you.
Sorry for that, guys. There was a bit of not technical issues. Our lights actually went off, so I apologize for that. So allow me to begin. Hi, Justin. Have we done the introduction for GYF?
Yes, you have done.
Perfect. So have the guests introduced themselves?
Yeah, we are in the process. So pick it from Sifa. Then you carry on.
Okay. So Carlos and Nitia have all introduced themselves.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Sifa, welcome to the session. Kindly introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what is your favorite SDG.
Hello, my name is Sifa Kibunja. I am a health enthusiast. I'm currently a student pursuing bachelor's in human nutrition and dietetics. So I am actually very passionate about health. I'm also an artist. I am a creative. I love the arts, and specifically I do music and songwriting. I'm very passionate about my favorite SDG actually is good health and well-being. As a health enthusiast, that's something that I would definitely support, because I'd love to have a society where people are healthy holistically, that is physically, mentally, spiritually. So when it comes to good health, I look at health holistically, not just physical health. So I'd love to see a society whereby both women, men, and children are healthy individuals, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And what change would you want to see in the world? I'm assuming it would be something related to health.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see people. I hate seeing people sick, especially now that I'm usually doing my work in the hospital. It's so difficult to see people suffering in the name of health, and knowing that it's possible for them to achieve the best health if only they were aware and had the right education to be able to access the right health care, So, and also start it early, because most people come to the hospital or access healthcare when they're really in difficult situations that cannot be remedied. So I'd really love to give information out there to people concerning health. And also I'd love to see change in terms of how we are perceiving of the arts. In my growing up, I felt like I was not given the opportunity to really delve into the arts because of the perception that came with being an artist or a young artist, or what it meant to be an artist, especially here in Kenya or Africa at large. So I'd want to see many young people involving themselves in arts and embracing their identity as creatives and not shying away from it because it's a difficult process. Yeah.
Thank you for that introduction. I may not have heard what Nitia and Carlos were able to say, and of course Justin, but it's been a pleasure to host you. It's been a pleasure to have you in this session, and I look forward to engaging you on the topics for the day. So welcome, Nitia, karibuni. Karibuni means welcome in Swahili. So allow me to just let me get the ball rolling with the first question, and I think I'll start with Carlos. So in your role as a university leader, what role do you believe that university have in terms of fostering youth engagement in peace-building initiatives, especially aligned with the SDGs? What role do you believe that the universities can do to foster youth engagement in peace-building initiatives?
Okay, so firstly, what I personally know is that there are civil...
Sorry. I was actually raising the question to Nitia. I mean to Carlos. But I see you started off. So just proceed, and then we'll have Carlos come on board.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what I see, there are several key challenges for a young person to get involved in peace and justice. And what a university can do is that they can provide opportunities and actually resources. This is one of the biggest is a lack of opportunities for young voice to be heard in decision-making spaces. Often youth are not given a seat at a table where important conversation and peace and justice are happening. So we actually want the university to provide opportunities. Another challenge for many young people is limited access to education and resources, which make it harder for a young person to engage in meaningful and advocacy efforts. So we want more university for more young people to actually actually be a bridge for young people to the institution working for peace. So education can work as the best at it. Additionally, in many places, there are still instabilities and also a lot of things. So education and can recover it. So institution can really play a great role in building a peace and peaceful society.
Thank you for that, Nitya. Very well, very good points actually coming through. And I think you've mentioned a key point in terms of education. And I think also in terms of our societies, of course, we live in different societies in different countries. So I think education playing a part in how young people can engage with the system is actually one of the key points that we'll be discussing today. So thank you for that, Nitya. So maybe Carlos, you want to jump on board for that as well, in terms of what role you think universities have in promoting peace in relation to SDGs.
Thank you so much. One of the ways I think the university should get involved is by creating platforms for student-led initiatives that can provide resources and support for peace-building activities. So when the students are get involved in such, and two, maybe the university to provide platforms and access so that the students, either through the student leaders or the student themselves, they get to partner with organizations, whether locally or internationally, because peace is of great concern from both from the local to the global space. So if they can have such a partnership and collaboration with the peace-led organizations, the NGOs, it can really mean a lot. And again, I know SDG is a lot. It was set to contain the 17 goals. Mm-hmm. We have poverty, we have inequality, peace, we have the collaboration and the partnership. So I basically believe that it should be incorporated in the curriculum. If not fully, there have been units, we are all aware. For example, the climate change and development. These are units which are introduced into our different universities to provide civic education to our learners on the goal and what the society needs. When we look at, for example, the entrepreneurial mindset, for example, they are provided at least to provide skills and to equip the learners with the skills necessary to tackle, for example, one of the challenges that youth face currently in our country or global, or if not, most of the third world countries is about unemployment rate. So these are from the poverty. So when we can tackle this, we can equip them with knowledge, then we get to actualize them. It can be of great value to our youth.
Thank you so much for that, Carlos. And I think you've mentioned one of the things that actually affects young people. And one of the efforts that we have done in terms of trying to reach to the young people is that we realize that most of them actually don't know what these SDGs are. And honestly, most of them don't even care what SDGs are. Because again, when you look at it, a lot of young people are unemployed. So if I'm unemployed and I'm looking for money, and you're telling me about getting to 2030 agenda or trying to fulfill SDGs, I couldn't care less. Because in my mind, I'm thinking I need money to be able to sustain my basic needs. So I think both you and Niti have actually highlighted that there are much more important issues for the youth, depending on the context, that actually affect how they look at development in the long term. So thank you for that, Carlos. And I think, of course, Niti, you had also mentioned in terms of the challenges that the young people actually face when it comes to a lot of these issues. So I think maybe the young people who are listening to us can also share their views. Feel free to share the same via comment section. And of course, you can be able to indulge with us as our guest. I'm sure I'll allow the guest as well to just be able to highlight maybe the platforms you can find them in, because I think they have quite a lot in terms of experience that they can be able to share with us. So moving on, well, I would like to bring in Tifa on board. So maybe you can tell us, what do you believe we can do in terms of promoting gender equality and also your own SDG in terms of good health? What do you think both SDGs can contribute to youth-led peace-building efforts under the SDGs?
Okay, so based on good health and well-being, when it comes to gender equality, it supports the fact that opportunities are not just people don't get opportunities just based on the gender that was assigned to them at birth, So at least knowing if people are aware that they have equal opportunities or equal representation when it comes to career goals or work or school, it's easy for them to actually seek out, like avenues that support them holistically. When it comes to health, even with the people that I've been able to encounter with, sometimes you find that since most women are usually in the home taking care of the home, and since most people believe that women are supposed to be, because as much as we are feminists out here and follow support feminism, you find that there are still some cultures that still support the fact that women are still inferior. So when it comes to health and access to health, you find that most of the women do not even have time to do anything apart from being in the homes. And even when they leave their homes, you find that they don't have the comfort of leaving the home because they have to answer questions. Or even if you look at majority of the people that we deal with in poor areas like Kibera, the slums, and the Kangemi, you find that the women come at last minute when things have elevated. They cannot be able to, like stage 4 cancers, that's what we are dealing with this month. And you find that the number of women who are there, they don't even have money, and they are not even empowered enough to understand that they have the choice to actually do jobs and do careers, because it doesn't mean that the man is the one with the chance to do that. And since they don't understand that, it affects their health in the sense that they have poor outcomes in terms of showing up and getting the treatment and getting access to healthcare. They're not even aware of it, because when people are talking about these things in workplaces, they're at home taking care of kids. So I feel like gender equality will make the youth aware that men's voices and men's participation is just as women's participations and women's voices is just as important as men's voice and participation. So they'll be able to be included in these work settings and places where they can be able to get this information, seek the healthcare, get well economically to the point where they can actually be able to have access to those things. Because even with the lack of, if they are not economically empowered, they will not have the ability to seek out this health that you're talking about. So I feel like gender equality will really push the young people, women especially, who are also vulnerable groups, to understand that it is okay and to get economically empowered to a point where they can now even focus on their own health, or they can actually focus on their own careers and build themselves to a place where even emotional well-being in terms of health, emotional health and mental health, they'll be in a good place. Yes.
Thank you for that. And I think I would also be quite curious to listen to what Carlos has to say. I would assume he's one of the male champions in terms of promoting gender equality, but I think we'll be getting forward to that. So I think also you've mentioned actually a key point in the sense that having the voices of also women being quite vocal in terms of some of these issues. And I think even one of our platforms as Ordinary Voices at GYF is we are able to provide a safe and inclusive platform for everyday Kenyan, to be able to discuss issues affecting them, their communities, and of course come up with solutions to mitigate some of these problems. So I think one of the best one of the things that I would encourage our guests who are listening to us is that Global Youth Forum is also a platform that actually allows you to be able to share some of the experiences and, of course, share some of the solutions you think would actually address some of the problems as young people we face on a day-to-day basis. And, of course, the best ways in which you can be able to achieve the 16 SDGs. And, of course, the question I know was related to gender equality, which is one of my favorite SDGs, but also just generally having all other young people participate in realizing the rest of the other SDGs, which are just as important, of course, as gender equality. So thank you for that, Tifa, Carlos and Nithya. We're progressing well. So Carlos, I would like to put you on the spot once again. I wanted to ask you, what role do you believe that university leaders play in amplifying youth voices in the global development agenda?
University plays a very crucial role by providing platforms. One, for the platforms in terms of student-led organizations, like the position I'm holding. So basically one of the roles that is applied, creating inclusive policies and decision-making at the table. Because we understand not everybody can be at the table, but we can have a representative. But the issue is, can our representation be heard? Can we be heard as the youth?
Yeah.
Can I be tabled with something and present it before for example, the university management or before the Senate? Can I table what the ground is saying actually to the management and it's implemented? Two, for example, our universities, they invest a lot in promoting research and the innovation centers. So we can come up with the promoting the research and innovation centers. We come up with the incubators where students come up with the peace building projects that can help us champion for these 7 SDGs globally. We've seen a representation of students doing projects maybe in AI, and they compete, like recently the Huawei competition, the hackathon. So we can actually have more research centers that can promote such programs globally, so that because it's a global thing. 3, we can be involved in engaging in international platforms where we can be able to nurture, we can be able to mentor, we can be able to help youth realize their dreams, unleash their potentials, so that at least they are also heard, because our youth form the majority of the population, not just in this country or Africa, but worldwide, we're the majority. So when we can have initiatives and platforms where we provide training to them, mentorship to them, it will mean a lot because it will be a very, very big step. One of the problems that we face is a lack of civic education. That is the majority of the youth, whom the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. So if you don't provide knowledge, if you don't provide civic education to our young people, and because they're the future generation, then definitely we are going to languish backwards, and we are not going to realize our dream. We are not going to realize and achieve any of the SDGs that were put forward, so that we are able to realize them. Because I can tell you at this rate, we are just around maybe 3 to 4 years from Vision 2030. I don't know what is going to happen, whether we are going to push it from Vision 2030 to Vision 2060. I don't know, but we must provide. I think, you're
actually saying quite an important point, and I'm seeing our producer is actually highlighting that by 2030, 90 million people may live in poverty, in extreme poverty actually by then. So clearly there is a lot that we still need to do in terms of strategies.
There's a lot, and what is worrying, I think these things were put, the SDG was brought up in around 2015 by the UN. But what is worrying, or the most challenging part, is that since poverty was mentioned, it has been on a high rise. It has never reduced. It is just increasing, whether
It's
it is
been there.
gender
It's true.
inequality. Yeah, everything, close to everything that we wanted to tackle, none of them we have tackled. And
Allow me to cut you short, Carlos. I know there's quite a lot that we can put on that topic, but because we're also working against time, allow me to also give the other guests just a chance to contribute. I think,
Okay.
Nitya, you also want to contribute just in terms of strategies, especially even in your own context. Just give me 2 strategies because you're working with time. So allow me to just give you 1 minute. In terms of responding to strategies, I think I can bring Justin on board after that, just to highlight this as we move on. So Nitya, feel free to jump on board.
Okay, so can you please repeat the question once for me?
Yes, so I was asking, what are the strategies you believe that the youth can actually employ in terms of promoting peace and development? So for you personally, as Nitya, what role do you believe as a UN youth representative? Give me just 2 that you think as a youth representative, you can be able to employ to actually bring more development in your country as a youth, as a young person, and a very young one at that.
Okay, so firstly, the question is one of the most beautifulest one. What I can do to personally, make more people influenced in my country. First, what I would love to do is to have youth voices in policy programs. I would like to ensure that young people are getting into those programs by campaigns, by events we are having right now, because there are so many young people who wants to get involved, but they are not having a clear path. And we actually want them to have one. And for that, we need more education on this. School doesn't have that. No, in my school, majority of people doesn't know what SDGs are. And I'm the one making them understand what it is. What are the teachers doing? So that's the thing. Institutions also play a good role in it. They need to educate the young people. You need to have more informative programs for that. So first is actually making up a clear set, a road. Okay. All the decisions can be made in the 4 walls of the New York's room. All the decisions can't be made there. Second, what we can do is in many, as Peter, our producer, mentioned that many of the people weren't able to join, change makers weren't able to join Summit of the Future because of so many issues for financial barriers and so many things. So what can we take as a takeaway? The takeaway is that a decision can't be made in 4 walls of a room. We need more countries. So what I'm from India. So what our country could have done is that they would have a national consultation program for Indians, and they come at the UN House of India, all the young change makers, they discuss there, and a draft is then presented by some selective representative at the United Nations Summit of the Future when the historical decisions were made. So we need to actually make sure that the UN agencies are working.
Thank you so much for that, Nitya. And I think both you and Carlos are actually highlighting the need for civic education, especially in terms of allowing our young people to effectively participate in a lot of these decision-making spaces. And I want just to echo what Carlos actually said in terms of involving maybe things like Senate and Parliament in terms of decision-making. Because one of the things that I do in terms of my field is to promote fair and a conducive electoral space for both women and youth and PWDs, just SIGs. We call them SIGs in Kenya. Of course, it's not the phrase that we usually use oftenly, but they're called special interest groups. And we realize that in terms of their access to knowledge and access to information, it's quite limited. So it actually affects even how they interact with decision-making bodies and decision-making spaces. So I think you highlighted a very key point in the sense that there's a need for us to focus some of the efforts that we're making towards having young people participate in a lot of these quite comprehensive procedures. Let me just jump on board and bring in Justin and Sifa. I know you guys have been quite quiet. Allow me just to ask Justin before I jump to Sifa, maybe what strategies, just give me one more strategy that you believe, especially in the Kenyan climate, that we need to have to be able to empower the young people in their role when it comes to peace and development. So Justin, you can jump on board on that.
Okay, thank you. One strategy, I think it's giving the youth opportunity. I reckon it to an example whereby you take a teacher to hospital to teach. What do I mean? You cannot take a 80-year-old to govern, let's say, the Ministry of Youth. That's not likely to be possible. Because these are elderly, I'm not saying they are bad, but he or she doesn't understand the problem of the youth. Let's take the youth, as the youth, understand the problem of other youths. So it will be much easier to come up with the solutions of these problems we are facing. Let the youths govern themselves by supporting them with various financial and many other. In case we want the elderly, let them give us advice, but not giving them the position to rule. That's what I believe one of the strategies.
Thank you, Justin. And I know it's one of the things actually, even in relation to what you do at GYF, at the Sports for SDG. So I think your point is well noted on that. So Sifa, what do you believe in terms of your role, maybe as a young person? And per se, let me ask you this. If you are to be in charge of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts in Kenya, because I know you mentioned something about arts in the beginning of your introduction, maybe what policy or policies would you adopt to further the cause?
Thank you. I think I would encourage integrating arts into the curriculum. I think it's easier to right now, mostly when
I think we might have. I think we must have lost Sifa. So taking up right away, I think let me jump right into to Justin, because this question is related much to Justin. Niti, I'm coming to you, and Kira, I'm coming to you. For now, like if we can do less than a minute, that will be good. So we have enough time for us. So Justin, coming right down to you in terms of the question that Val have asked, what will you go for? Unmute.
I'm requesting you pardon the question because I didn't get it clearly. Kindly.
All right, cool. So, Kir, did you hear the question? Do you want to jump on the question that Val asked lastly, then I come to Nitya?
Yeah, it was about what can you do when you assume, is it when you are
the Ministry
the
of
Sports
Youth?
Ministry?
Yeah, go for it.
It's okay.
Go for it.
So basically, one of the things I'll do is to promote digital inclusion and innovation.
Yeah.
As far as the technology is concerned and the blockchain and everything, I will try to promote digital innovation so that we champion that each and every youth, not even youth, each and everybody have an access to the internet and to the technology so that we can be able to advocate for our rights as youths.
Yeah.
And again, I would also advocate, I'm not against the appointment or the representation of the elderly to the youths. That is not concerned. What is there is, are we appointing somebody who understands the youth's problem and is going to incorporate and bring all youths work under one umbrella? Because we must not despite them. They are actually part of our society, and we cannot move on without them. So we must have what is known as youth representation.
Yeah.
Our good friend Nitya will tell us how did he found himself to the UN representation. And back in my own country, it's not easy reaching there, and that is the truth. So we need more youth representation and to such organization platforms where youths can be heard. We need youth leadership development forums. We need youth-led peace building progress and programs that are conducted so that we can be able to champion our rights in a well and a formal manner. And we can be 100%, yeah.
All right, good one. Nitya, bringing you into this conversation with technology, I know you are tech savvy and you do a lot of technology skills. So how can the young people use or leverage the power of technology to promote peace within the communities which they live in? Curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, so technology is one of the most used tool and it is one of the most impactful tool. Okay,
Yeah.
it also provide tools for education and self-building, and which is really amazing. Young people can use it for powerful ways to promote peace and sustainable development in their communities. Social media platforms also allow youth to raise awareness about important issues, share stories, and mobilize people for positive change, something which we are doing right now. They can create online campaigns, hold virtual events, and build global connections with like-minded individuals working towards peace and development. So now comes about what a young person can really get out of it. It depends on how the person use it. Okay, it's up to them. They can build skills, they can enable young people to learn about sustainability and peace building, which is often not taught in schools. They can apply that knowledge to real life solutions. Apps, digital platforms, and online communities really help youth collaborate across borders, and something which I really build my way to the human civil society. Share solution and innovate in areas like climate change, social justice, and conflict resolution. By using technology, young people can amplify their voices, bring attention to local and global challenges, and inspires others to join their efforts for a better future like a leader do.
All right. I captured the thing on social media and how people can use it to share their messages and influence communities, and linking to what Kira have stated. Let me jump down to Justin. Justin, do you have tips on technology as well? Or you have any tips on how technology can be used to promote peaceful communities? And then Kira, I'm coming to you shortly. All right. Justin, I can't hear you, but we will come back to you. To you again. Okay, go for it. Go for it. I can see you.
Okay. Technology, I believe it's one of the tools which we can use to reach many people across the globe. Looking at technology, even people in the grassroots areas, they can be able to access information. So one thing we should work on is how we can use this modern technology. How can we empower the local communities with the modern technology? How can we empower them on how to use this technology to access information which is very suitable for them, so that they can make decisions that can affect their lives? So we need to bring modern technology to local levels, and also the youth need to be empowered in high schools, let's say in high schools, in primary school, universities, on how to use this technology. It's very sudden when maybe you can find a youth after campus, he or she has never done anything about modern technology. It will be very difficult for this youth, maybe let's say in Africa, to compete with a youth in Asia, in Europe. So we need to empower them from early childhood with technology. Thank you.
All right. I know I'm being told that the Starlink is coming to Kenya. So Elon Musk is setting a base in Kenya, and they're partnering. Safaricom is looking for partnerships. So yeah, as we have like this technology, its accessibility needs to also be considered. So Val, I think we are on the last part, but let me go for it before you come on. So I know all of you, for example, if you were to be the ministers for sports or youth affairs in your own country, doing all those sorts of things, and you've been asked, if you were to introduce one policy that will help promote peaceful coexistence within communities, what policy will that be? Val, it's now over to you. So that's the question. Where should I start? I'm starting with Sifa, because Sifa has just joined. Val, I'm coming to you shortly. Sifa, tell us the policy you will introduce if you are the Minister of Youth, Gender Affairs, and just things to do with youth. One policy and why?
Okay, so first of all, I apologize. There's a lot of rain here, so electricity issues, but yes, I'm back. So a policy that I'll come up with has definitely to do with the arts. As an artist, I can understand the struggles that come with that. And the policies that I can support is integrating arts into the curriculum. I feel like that will help a lot of people just build on their creative thinking. I feel like in introducing artistic like ventures in school would help a lot of people realize that creativity is valuable. If I myself had the chance to be able to develop my creativity when I was younger, I'd be able to use it for a much better cause. Right now, when you speak about peace and development, a lot of young people, if you look at the thing that art has been used for, it's mostly entertainment. But the truth is that art can be bigger than just being entertained. You can use it to teach people, you can use it to encourage people, you can use it to, even a long time ago, you find that that's the means of communication that most people, at that time, the slaves, were using even to communicate and air out their views, So if I was a young person, I would want to have had the foundation of creativity when I was still young. And that will have helped me at this point to be able to pass a message across using art exhibitions or any other thing that's like the way people go and publicly display things. And mostly for us, like doing music and if it's art galleries and stuff like that, I would really encourage that to be done from a young point in life so that young people can be able to understand the essence of creativity. All of us are creative beings. We are all born to create. And I feel like if everybody was aware that creativity is such a big force, we would be able to work on bringing peace and in a fun way also. I feel like it would be easier for young people. I feel like they're very much in tune with creative ventures. So it's easy to tell a young person to come to a concert than it is to tell a young person maybe to come to a lecture for hours. So it's easier to be able to push them to opportunities whereby they can creatively express themselves and understand that there's also a fun way of doing things that look serious, So I feel like what I would do is integrating arts into the curriculum so that students can be able to develop creatively and have that creative thinking and know how to use their arts for educational purpose. Yes.
Thank you for that, Sifa. Once again, of course, we apologize for the technical issues on our end. I think I'm in the same area as Sifa as well. We're having a lot of electrical issues, and as much as we're trying to get data, unfortunately, we don't have service on this end. So forgive us. Watu wa Kajiado County, I think Justin can relate on that. But nonetheless, we are moving on well. And I'd like to just give a minute to each of you as the guests. So after Carlos, I think I can go to Nitia, then Justin, just giving us what you would do if you were elected as a minister, what policy you think would be sufficient to promote youth for development. So in just 1 minute, because I see we are past for time. So just 1 minute and then we can go to the parting shot. So Carlos, feel free to jump in and then Nitia.
I think we had, me and Nitia had answered this question when you were...
You had?
Yeah. We said
then allow me to just jump to Justin then. And then come back for the call to action. Thank you, Carlos.
Okay, thank you. I believe there's only one solution which can eliminate all these messes we are seeing around. And the solution is elimination of corruption. Looking at the Ministry of Youth and Sport Affairs, giving a good example of my country, Kenya, what we have is corruption. This what has brought the challenges we are experiencing now. Once we eliminate this corruption, the youths, even those in local areas, will be able to access these opportunities to go even abroad to play football. Once we eliminate corruption, that's when we will have good stadiums. We can host even World Cup in Kenya or in Africa. So elimination of corruption, that's one strategy. Coming up with legal reforms which can eliminate. Why can't we hold accountable those individuals who engage in corrupt activities? Just looking them walking around, it's a very bad looking person who is very corrupt and is corrupt, but you cannot take an action for them. So let's eliminate corruption as a youth, and then we have a good ministry which will be able to support you.
Thank you, Justin, for that. And I think I'm seeing Sifa actually asking in the comment section that can we really eliminate corruption in Kenya? And I see Carlos is actually agreeing with that and saying it's quite difficult to eliminate corruption. And I want to agree with that in the sense that Unfortunately, Niti, I know you're the one who's not in the Kenyan context, but where we live, unfortunately, corruption has gained quite the roots, and it's quite unfortunate. Of course, it's not something that we are happy about, but it's something that has gained roots quite heavily in Kenya, and we realize that, especially in a lot of things that young people are involved in, the reason why most of them are not able to get the spaces is because these spaces have been occupied by people who are undeserving. And I say undeserving in quotes because it was not the right procedure followed. Or maybe if people have jobs, for example, they're not the people who are actually fit for these jobs. So sometimes we realize that, especially when it comes to corruption and even the young people. And I remember there was actually a study done by Youth Cafe, in the sense that 70% of Kenyan population is actually young people. In fact, over 70%. So you realize if a lot of young people are making up the population, and the same young people are the ones who do not have spaces in decision making, they don't have spaces in entrepreneurship, they don't have spaces in a lot of these things, then in terms of development, we get to suffer. Because again, there's the saying that says that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. So if these leaders are not given opportunities to be able to advance in terms of what opportunities they get, then I see, of course, there's going to be a big challenge. So I think we can agree that, of course, corruption in Kenya is not something that can be easily eliminated, but I believe that with continuous efforts and sensitization, we can definitely get there. So in the last question, as we aim to finish in the next 3 minutes, for each of the guests, just give me your one call to action, 1 minute call to action. What do you have to say to the youth in terms of their role on youth and development? What can you urge them or encourage them to do for us to realize this SDG in Kenya? So just 1 minute each, and I'll start with Nitya, and then I go back to Carlos, Sifa, and finish it off with Justin. So Nitya, feel free to jump on board.
Okay, so beautiful. My call to action for the youth is simple but powerful. Recognize the strength of your voice and the impact for your action in a world that faces immense challenges. From conflict to climate change, young people have the energy, creativity, and vision needed to drive meaningful change. I urge every young person to actively engage in promoting peace and sustainable development in their communities, not only SDG 16, but all the SDGs, whether it's through advocating for fairness and justice, leading environmental activities, or using technology to connect and inspire others. Your contribution matters. Don't wait for permission to lead. Start now.
Thank you, Nitya. I think from your assessment, I can just summarize it in your contribution matters, especially for the young people. So thank you for that, Nitya. Carlos?
Thank you so much. It's simple. Number one, let all youth take the lead, because youth form are very powerful. Let's come up with revolutionary reforms and let the young people take part in building our nation, building this country, continent, and globally. We are very powerful, and as I conclude, I quote Marianne Williamson, and he says, our deepest fear is not that we are not powerful. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Let our light define us, not our darkness. We can't go back to the dark days. Let us focus on how we can get to the light days so that we can begin it again. All is not lost. Let's keep fighting for whatever belongs to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. So I'm going to quote your call to action as youth take lead. But I think that actually speaks to the Gen Z movement in Kenya, especially in terms of the political climate that we have. So thank you for that, Carlos. So Sifa?
I'd say don't wait for opportunities, create them. Most of us like complaining about how there are no this, there's no job, there's no this. It's easier for you to create an opportunity. When you find a crisis, it's like it's an opportunity to give you the chance to create something. Think of problem solving and tell yourself, okay, how can I be able to be the voice right now? I might not have the chance or the place to start or an opportunity to be able to represent other young people, but I can create an opportunity that will allow me to create opportunities for other young people. So I feel like it will be important for us to choose to create instead of waiting for a chance, for us to have these avenues that allow us to talk to other youths or motivate other youths. So yeah, it's important to be creators, not just wait for opportunities to come so that we can be activists in depending on which area it is that you want to support. Yeah.
Thank you, Sifa. From your quote, I think I can say, if I was to quote you, I'd say, we create our own opportunities as young people. And I think I can see something from our producer telling us that you will never find peace and happiness until you're ready to make the change yourself. So, Justin, you want to close this off for us before we finally end it? Oh, sorry. The quote was, you will never find peace and happiness until you're ready to commit yourself to something worth dying for. So thank you to the Ordinary Voices producer for that. And Justin, you can close us off with the call to action before we finally end the session.
Okay, my call to action as youth, let's believe we are the change makers. No one is coming to rescue us. You have to have that mentality. It's us alone who can change this world. It's us who can bring solutions to the problems we have. In response with the question of Sifa, also change starts with us. If you are as a youth, I'm a corrupt individual. How can I expect the leaders to not be corrupt? It start from me. Being accountable to myself, then I will start holding my readers accountable. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And once again, thank you for our guests. Of course, time is asking me to finally conclude the session, but I just want to say it is a very, it was a great session, and I completely say thank you to each and every one of you, to the team behind in terms of production, for the Ordinary Voices Studios. Thank you once again for assisting us to deal with the technical issues, to our guests, and to our listeners who have been listening to us online. Thank you once again. And if you do want to indulge with us, kindly follow us at our Global Youth Forum pages. We're both on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we look forward to hosting some of you. If you do want to be a guest, every month I usually make a post, especially on my LinkedIn page, to be able to get any guests who are willing to join us. So if you feel like you want to contribute to some of the discussions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be able to get you on board. But to Nitya, Carlos, Sifa, and Justin, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your effort. And of course, thank you for your wisdom. I look forward to engaging you in future. Once again, allow me to say goodbye at this juncture, and I wish you all the best. So have a nice time. Thank you.
Bye.